All right, so now we're going to take a look at our next page. So again, I'm looking at inside cover, okay, inside page here. And you can see I still have all my layers, most of my layers unlocked. Okay, you can see here the layer called on every inside page. Now that's going to be the layer that contains this information. Okay, so we've got our sheet number, our project title. Okay, and why don't we just go ahead and do that? I'll call this one A1. Okay, and this will be our floor plan sheet. So I'm going to just double click on that, select our title, call this floor plan. Oh, sorry, no. What I'm going to do here is this is project title. Okay, I'm going to be using scrapbook graphics to indicate the drawing titles. Alright, so here again I'm going to use the same project title, the cottage floor plan, but each sheet's going to represent a different drawing. Now, notice that if I arrange it here, all the sheets that I create are going to have the same information now. So look over here. I'm going to update this information to indicate our school. Whoops. I'm actually going to remove that. I'll just put the city there. All right, and then we'll put in our date. Okay, now you'll see that once I've done that, let's go back to pages here, and you'll see I just have 2 pages right now, right? But all the remaining pages are going to have the same formatting. So here's what I would recommend you do. Once you've updated the second sheet, right, with that information, then just go ahead, go back to your tray, and then use the duplicate sheet, or duplicate the sheet again, right? Here's page 3. So I got cover page here. Now I can go to page 2, double click on the title. I'll call this one the A1, call it floor plan. That way I know what that information is. Over here, I'll double click that one, call that one A2, and this will be my kitchen elevation, or sorry, yeah, kitchen elevations. And then we could proceed over and over, okay? So what you'll notice is, this being A2 now, right? Let's take a look here. I'm in A2, okay? Notice how when I select this information here, what layer does that belong on, right? It says unique elements. By duplicating the sheet, right? And notice this one, the project title. What layer is that on? On every inside page. So I change the project title only once, and since I duplicated the sheet, it remains the same throughout all of them. The only thing that I need to change and can change is this, or anything else that's unique, right? So there's A2. When we come back, there's our A1. And of course, we have our cover page, right? So you see how layers work with layouts? Let's go back to the floor plan. Now, as I continue, as I put together the model views, I'm just going to be using default layer, okay? For the purposes of our project and our presentation, that's all we need, just this one layer, okay? And you can create additional layers so you have more control over the arrangement, right, of your graphics or your drawings or whatever else you're using. So, now that I know I'm in that layer, I'm going to go ahead. Alright, so here we are, my second sheet, and it's actually the floor plan sheet, and here we're going to show a floor plan view, but now I want to draw your attention to not just the layers here now, but the scrapbook. We're going to be using scrapbook graphics to annotate our drawings, right? From, let's say, using the simple TB style here, you can see there's 3 separate categories of information. We can use the compass rose or north graphic. We could use drawing titles, right? So because my title block here only shows the project title, I need to be able to identify the drawings. So what I can do here is just use a very simple, just drag and drop, select, drag and drop a drawing title. And these are like components, okay? They're grouped elements that can be selected and edited. So before I do anything else, let me show you the other graphic elements we want to use. So that was out of that folder. And here, if we wanted to do detailed construction drawings, you can see we have callouts here for details. We've got elevation and spot elevation symbols. And then we also have interior elevation symbols. This is what we'll be using in order to do our kitchen and bath elevation markers. All right, so let's start by bringing in the floor plan view. All right, once again, just to be clear, I'm in A1 floor plan drawing, my layer, I'm on the default layer. Okay, so file, insert, we'll go back and select our model. It'll bring in the most current view. And then if I right click here, I'm going to use scenes, and I'll go ahead and select my plan view. I've already saved it this way, right? And you'll notice that as I start to resize the drawing view, it changes scale, but I'll reset it in just a second. So I'm going to make it large enough so I can see it clearly. And if I right click and I look at scale, this should be 1/4 inch scale. Now pay attention to what happens when I try to enlarge or adjust the model view. Since I set the scale, it's not going to change again, but I can still use these grips to control what is going to be visible. All right, now I can go in and select my title and then adjust it. So I'm just going to place it actually some distance away because I'm going to have some dimensions there. Okay, let's say I'll grab this and move this a little bit higher too. Now to update your titles here, I'm just going to double click, and you'll see you'll have to drill down, right? So double click until you can highlight the text that you want to change. Go ahead and update that. Show the scale properly, okay? Make sure you show the scale properly. That's 1/4 inch equal to 1 foot 0 inches. And since this drawing title could be used for drawing references, I'm already on A1 sheet. So this is only drawing 1. It is not a reference to a drawing off the sheet. So not going to indicate the sheet number because that is already indicated over here, right? Okay, so we got the title, we got our floor plan view, but what's missing? We need some labels and dimensions, right? All right, let's get to it. I'm going to go back here to the tray, and now we're going to take a look at textile. So you can look up here near your menu bar, in your one toolbar, we've got text. Once I activate it, so click on the command, okay, now you can look over here in textile and select your particular textile that you want to use. I'm using Swiss 721, and you could choose whichever one you like. I would recommend something that is sans serif, no fancy styles, but it's your presentation, your call. All right, 12 point, between 9 point and 12 point, I think would be appropriate. You could definitely play around with it, but keep it consistent, right? So I've got 721, 14 point, and I've got my text tool selected. Now I can just come into my plan view, create a text box, and type. We'll call this kitchen/dining. All right, now if I want to take a look at both the formatting and the font style, right? Select all, Control A, select all, and take a look. Up top here, you can see how you can align. Let's say we want to align center, and then let's see if we can expand this a little bit more. All right, and then we can also collapse the box to make sure, actually it's already set to that. I can't really read that, but you can collapse the box if you made the box too large to fit just the text, which is a good option. Okay, so here if I wanted to make it 18 point or back to 12 point, you could still make those changes. Now, also you can see this is set to italic. Maybe I just want bold. All right, and then again I'll go back to select mode and click offside the graphic. Now, once you have one of those, just go ahead and select, use Control, and make some copies, right? Make some copies. Double click here and you can change your information. Let's make this the master bedroom. And then we'll do the same thing here for the bath. And notice here, see here the text block. Again, depending on how we use our options here, we can make it collapse just to fit the text itself. This might be important if you wanted to highlight the text with a different color in the background. As a matter of fact, take a look, right? You can see here that the text block is a shape, no? So if I select turn on fill, let's say I change the color of the fill, you can see that, right? It's an interesting way to use the text blocks. I want to undo that. Okay, a couple more titles here. Control, drag. And if you use shift, right, shift keeps you constrained in the direction that you're pulling. All right, we'll call this the studio. And then make one more title. And this will be our living area. Okay, so that's how we're going to add some titles. And the next thing that we need are some dimensions, right? I would recommend all you need to do here is show the length and the width overall, and then show from exterior to center of interior to outside of exterior for your wall placements. So let's take a quick look. Again, first activate dimensions. Take a look at your default tray. Now here you'll notice that we have a dimension style tray all its own. Because we're using scaled drawing views for the floor plan and for elevation or section, right? Those should be orthographic projections. And if you're going to be using those views for construction documentation or even working drawings, they need to be to scale, right? And also, when you're going to do your annotations, you want them to represent the actual model dimensions, right? The true to world dimensions. So, activate your dimensions, take a look at your default tray, make sure before you start making any dimensions that this is selected, auto scale, right? Also, take a look at the placement of your text and the unit format and precision. Here I want to use architectural, and I don't need the precision here. This is just schematic, right? 0 feet, 0 inches, so put 1 inch right there. Okay? Now, again, before you continue, you're like setting up the style right now, right? So notice how it's Swiss 721, bold. I'm just going to use Roman and maybe 10 point, right? Actually, how did it change that? Let's go back to 721. Right? 10 point. Now, you've made your changes. Let's say we're going to start to show our dimensions here. Zoom into the model. Notice how you can just snap to an endpoint. Now, for example, here, if I'm going to go to the center of the wall, I may want to find an element that's the midpoint, as you can see there, right? Click and then drag. Notice that right now that's in an aligned dimension, but if I drag it vertically, you can see that's a linear dimension now. It's all in how you pull, right? Which way do you pull? So I'm going to pull it up some distance away. There's 16. Now we're going to do the next one. So again, from the same point, here's the midpoint, click, zoom out, zoom in, make sure you snap to the right location, click, and then again, how are you pulling that dimension? Oh, that didn't work very well. There it goes. Now, notice how it can snap aligned with the previous dimension, and then click again. All right, if we're going to do our overall dimensioning, I can go from outside to outside, and then pull. All right, so one more. Let's do these walls here, and that's what you want to repeat all the way around. So let's do it one more time. I'm going to go from the end here. Where's the center here? How can I find the center? Now usually it'll detect the wall. You see that? Midpoint. Click, zoom out to drag. Let's do a couple more. Midpoint, to, midpoint, pull out, align, and then left click again. One more time. So left click here, zoom out, just using the scroll wheel, left click here, move the mouse, pull it in the right direction, zoom out so you can see the other dimensions. You might have to align it close, right, so you could track. And don't worry, let's say that's all you could snap to, right? Just place it, come back over here, space bar for select mode. Now look at the grips that you have right there. You can pull that to align it, right? There you go. So that's using labels or text for labels, using dimensions for your dimensions there. One more thing here. Let's say if we wanted to rotate the text. So here's bath. I'm going to use Control, drag, let go. Notice here as you zoom closer, you see the little handle. Watch how your cursor changes to the rotate command. Click and drag. Click, hold, and drag, rather. Click, hold, and drag, and you'll see how it snaps to vertical. And then you can reposition. Double click, change your information. And then just click off to the side, right? Okay, now in terms of this being an example of floor plan, I think we have all the information. You guys, of course, have to finish all the dimensioning there. We've got all the labeling there.